Welcome back. Once again, we find ourselves at the Reddit Bureau of Investigation. Our first post starts like this. My brother was kicked out and went missing over 10 years ago. My identical twin brother was gay. When our father found out about that, he gave him about an hour to pack his things and leave. We were 17. I remember because I was there. I was just sitting on the bed in our room when my brother grabbed his school backpack, threw all the books on the floor and packed some clothes and a toothbrush. I didn't even say anything to him. He walked through the door and I never saw him again. A few weeks later, we had CPS at our house, and our abuela took over custody of me and my younger siblings, and we reported my brother missing. Apparently, it was him who went to our teacher at school and told him about the situation in our home and how abusive our father was. But he didn't come back. I've been looking for him for the past 11 years. The last lead I had was from his friends he was around soon after he left. They were all junkies. Some of them were homeless. Apparently, he was living in and out of motels as a prostitute and using, but I never actually managed to track him down. We barely talk about him, but when we do, my family refers to him as if he was dead, which is likely, but I don't want to believe that. This is really sad, but it's a good thing the CPS stepped in. If the OP's father was willing to kick out his son just because he was gay, then I can't imagine the home as being a loving environment. The user uploaded this post using a throwaway account on February 26th of 2023. Given the information provided, we can assume that their brother went missing around 2012 or 2013. When trying to look into the OP's post history, I found that the page had been suspended, but the OP's comments on their posts were still visible, and Redditors would also provide some useful information. I'm so sorry to hear about your brother. There are several missing people Facebook groups, some that work closely with state police. It may be worth reaching out with your brother's story if you haven't already. I have to say, most have been great groups that do highlight those working in prostitution and with substance abuse background without judgment. This shouldn't happen to any child left to fend for themselves at 17. I hope one day you have answers. Tapping in the ad, check police records. It's slim, but your brother may have been locked up, and you maybe can be the hand to help him when he gets out. If he's an addict, then his likelihood of being arrested is pretty high actually. As a sister of an addict, that would be my first thought. At some point he'd probably been arrested. It's more likely to find him through police records and tax records. Further down, the OP would provide more information on where he believes his brother could be. User overall_valuable2538 would ask, what city do you think he may be staying? The last time anyone saw him was in Miami. After that, he could have gone anywhere. User 8girl_who_codes would also join in. How long ago was that? A few months after he left home. Oh, so it was a very long time then. Please update if you can. Advice, ask for criminal records that he may have had in Miami. Ask in the shelters too. Maybe he stayed for a long time in Miami. Other Redditors would comment as well. And on March 18th of 2023, the OP provided us with an update on their missing brother. Unfortunately, I'm forced to post from a different account because the other one got suspended, and I hope it's alright to post an update. Firstly, I just wanted to thank everyone for the overwhelming amount of responses and support. I couldn't be more grateful, especially that I'm very close in getting in touch with my brother now. I was able to establish soon after he left home. He left the state and joined the military, and he was there for a few years. I got a hold of his current social media handles, and last night I was able to message him. I haven't heard back yet, but I think it's just a matter of time. I obviously can't tell exactly what his life looks like now, just from pictures on his Instagram, but it looked quite peaceful. He lives in the UK now, and I think he's married, and I hope I'm right in that I'm able to see him soon. This was a relieving post. Fortunately, the OP was able to find their brother. I tried to check the post history on this account, but it appears as if it was also suspended. Other commenters expressed their reliefs as well, and one user would ask, out of curiosity, would you be able to share how you found his trail? I hired a person to do some digging online, despite the fact that he's been using his nickname officially instead of his name, and has been living in another country. Not long after the update post, the OP would edit with another update. I spoke to my brother on the phone. I cannot even describe the feeling I got when I heard his voice. I never felt anything like that before. He didn't speak for a whole minute when I said it was me on the phone. He said he never tried to reach out because he was convinced we all hated him, and he didn't want to risk seeing our dad. He said he's doing well. He started university in London last year. He's studying fine arts. He's been clean for a few years. He's in therapy, but he said he can't start a day without a handful of pills, and I guess that's understandable considering what he's gone through. But it really seems like he's doing good now, despite his mental health issues and disabilities, and he's actually getting married soon, to a man, and I couldn't be happier for him. I haven't told the rest of my siblings yet. My brother said he wants to fly here and see me and them, and his partner will come with him. It took me 2 whole days to process that, and I still feel that might have been a dream. And this last edit will leave us with a happy ending. Since the OP's account was suspended, I was unable to check for updates on how the possible reunion may have gone. Although given the efforts, I'm sure it went well, and the two had a lot to catch up on. This story seems to be a repeat experience for many unfortunate people. May 4th, 2023, Reddit user Bubble Roxy went onto the RBI subreddit, concerned that her landlord might be stalking her and going through her things. Is my landlord stalking me? I'm renting a private room and private bathroom in a home with a family of 4. My room is a loft that has stairs directly outside my door that leads down to 3 doors: my bathroom, the garage, and their home. They told me the door to their home will be locked at all times, and the garage will be my private entrance. Backstory: this is my landlord's first time renting out a space in her house, so she's new to this. In the listing and viewing, she made it seem that even the staircase/hallway is private. I was so excited that the room, staircase, and bathroom was all private to me. No, during this time there was no door for my room, so right when you go upstairs you're automatically in. First time sleeping there, I left my place and locked both the side door and the garage door. I ended up getting locked out because the key to the side door is not the same as the garage door. She told me I should never lock the garage door, only the side door, because I need to use it as a pass-through to get to the garage. I was never made aware that this was going to be used as a pass-through prior to me signing the lease. I addressed that I'm uncomfortable because I thought that all of these areas were going to be private to me. I'm even more uncomfortable because I have no door to my room. For the first week I slept with no door while they walked back and forth from their house to the garage, having no privacy. They can easily see me or just walk in if they wanted to. She ended up giving me a key to the garage door, but I never locked it because the one time I did lock it, I was in the restroom and I heard her yell to her daughter, "Why the fuck is this door locked?" I don't think she knew I was there. Next thing you know, I see them changing the locks to all their home doors. She stated there's a door that's in the wall. The door ended up not being functional. My dad had to fix it so it can actually slide and close. Once closed, there's a huge gap at the bottom, so no insulation or soundproofing. Another thing I was concerned about, I wanted a lock for my door. She said I could unlock the door because as the landlord, she needs to access my room, which I do understand, but I wanted some type of privacy and protection for my landlord. She ended up installing a swivel lock on my door which I can lock whenever I'm sleeping, but not when I leave the premise. Other things, when I come home, I would sometimes see my door slightly open, half open, etc. I feel like someone is accessing my room. This is the same with my bathroom door which I always close. She never told me she had cameras pointing directly at the side door and also outside the garage door when I moved in. She got upset with me because I would come in and out of the house in the middle of the night multiple times, and asked why I keep coming in and out because she sees it in the camera. My overhead light broke one time, told her about it, and I said please don't come into my room until I get home. She said, "Oops, I already fixed it." So she went into my room without my permission. I go up and down the stairs. Moments later, I hear someone open the door downstairs, turn on the hallway light for a second, turn it off, and go back into the house. Like they don't know there's a person living here. I hate how they check up on me. I just don't understand why she can protect herself and her family, but I cannot equally protect myself. She changed the locks to her doors. She has these cameras without disclosing, but I can't have my own door or a real lock, and I only have the side door as my door I can lock. If someone were to break into the house, my room would be the first target. Security is the least you can do for a tenant. I had to sleep in a stranger's home without a door for a week, as a young woman, and they thought this was okay. I always stress that I am a very private person. I was thinking about putting a camera in my room. Is it illegal to put a small camera right outside my sliding door that's in the hallway? I just want to ensure that my landlord isn't going into my room and see why they're constantly checking up on me. I just need advice on this whole landlord situation. It really seems like every other day we find another story of a landlord abusing their power. A user by the name Here Fishy Fishy would comment under the post. First of all, she said she couldn't lock the door because she's a landlord and needs access to your room. Why? She doesn't need access to your room randomly. Unless it's an actual emergency. She has absolutely no business in your room without prior notice, and after you give her time and permission. In some states, she doesn't even have the right to have a key to your door. Anyways, enforce your rights, all of them. Find out your tenant rights in your state, and then that's that. Don't feel bad or obligated. Especially us women play this BS game of being insecure about these things, basically making ourselves miserable for no reason. You're a legal tenant, you pay rent, so this is your home. She does have rights as a landlord, but as long as you pay on time and there's no emergency, hers are pretty limited. Please take responsibility for your well-being, know your rights and let her know too. Other Redditors also stated that in many leases, a landlord is legally obligated to give notice before entering a renter's home. In a later reply to Hear Fishy, the OP would state that they're in California. A quick Google search revealed the landlord must give you a 24-hour advance written notice before entering. The notice should state a specific time of entry, which must be during normal business hours. The OP's reply would provide more context into this situation. She said in case of an emergency, I honestly think she's trying to treat me like her daughters, like trying to get me included with her family. Don't get me wrong, she's also very nice. She bought me brand new appliances in my room that cost over $1,000 prior to moving in. Even bought me a new dresser, and makes me baked goods. But yeah, she can be a bit weird. This may or may not mean anything, but she is a recovered alcoholic of 10 years. Ever since the time she fixed my light, nothing weird has happened. The only thing is them checking up on me still. Like, why are they checking up on me? When they open the door to do the pass-through, there's nothing but my stairs and those 2 closed doors. Unless they go into the garage, there's no reason for them to check there unless they're curious about me. Other than that, no more moved doors. I'm still going to install a camera, but thank you for this response. You're right, I need to stand up for myself. I'm usually good at this, but recently I haven't been. Along with other things in my life going south, I'm trying to navigate ways to deal with first. In the beginning, I was super stern about the hallway situation because I was so damn bummed that it wasn't private. Like, how are you gonna make this pass through when there's no door? Like what? Also, I live in Cali. A user by the name Historical Panic 465 commented this. Believe it or not, in California, an owner who lives within the house is allowed to enter the room you are renting at any time of day or night, for any reason. However, the homeowner cannot harass you or take your possessions. You are technically not a regular tenant, but rather would be known as a lodger. Pretty much the main law when entering a room within a household would be the habitability law. This means that the owner is responsible for making sure the unit does not have any defects that would make the unit unfit for a human being to live there. Sadly, this law does not require them to provide you a bedroom door, or any locking doors besides the main doors that lead into the house. I would suggest finding somewhere else to live if you feel uncomfortable, because you pretty much lose a lot of rights that a regular renter would have, and will most certainly lose this argument. Or, if you're getting a good deal to live there, then just accept it and have a talk with the owner to ask for better privacy. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation about issues you're having. To me, it honestly seems like a harmless family who is slightly inexperienced, possibly even unprepared on how to properly rent a room / follow their own terms, or how to make tenants feel comfortable and happy. You should definitely bring up the fact that they made you feel that the stairwell, bathroom, and bedroom would be more private than it currently is. At the very least, you should be able to properly lock the door in your bedroom. As for the security camera, the owner can place a camera wherever she wants as long as it's not in the bedroom or bathroom. It should be fine for you to put a security camera in your room that you rent, but it's not okay to capture video of common areas that include other residents. I'm not exactly sure that pointing a camera in the stairwell would be a good idea for you, and will only stir things up. Honestly, I would say that it should be perfectly fine to put it inside your room. If you can show your actual contract, of course blur out any personal info, I'd be able to help a lot more. I also live in Cali, and have had all sorts of living arrangements and agreements. After this, the OP did state that they purchased the camera. She would also state that the landlord was leaving her alone after she got upset at her for entering the room. User Broken Botox would say, "Get out of there. This seems sketchy and illegal as fuck. You should feel comfortable and secure in your own home." I know. Ever since the day she went into my room without my permission, they've been leaving me alone. Right when she said she already fixed the light, I went straight into the house. I was just pissed. She looked like she felt sorry. Despite the encounter, it seems as though the OP's landlord would go back to their old habits, because after about 3 days, Roxy would provide another update. Put a camera, caught her daughter entering my room. I'm building a table, asked if I can borrow their drone. I put it back where it was, which I did. I left work around 6 p.m., saw her open my door and look around at about 6:20 p.m. She looked straight into the camera when she was closing the door. Next thing you know, she texted me at 6:40, asking if I need help with whatever I'm building. Looked over the film. I did not hear her knock or call my name before coming in. She probably saw my car gone and thought it was a go to enter my room. Here, Fishy Fishy would reply under the update. I read your other comment where you said she wants to include you in her family or something, and she's also nice, which I think is BS. She takes your money and just doesn't have a sense of boundaries. And so of course neither does her daughter. You need to decide if you want to be your friend who she takes money from who lets her crash at her house, or if you want your place that you pay for to be private. And then either way accept her behavior or act accordingly by enforcing all legal rules at your disposal. You can't have both. Sorry, I don't mean this in a harsh way, but it's really up to you. And for now, that's all we have to go off of. Given that this post and situation are so new, there are no further updates or any posts relating to what the OP plans on doing. Although now that they have video evidence, if they do decide to take a legal route, I hope they're able to use it to their advantage. This next post comes from the user Haunted Willow and was uploaded on January 11th of 2023. My brother visits a few times every year. Invariably, the houseplants start to die whenever he's around. I only have one bathroom and multiple roommates. My brother's complained about this in the past and joked about peeing in my plant. For context, my brother visits 1 to 2 weeks at a time. He's visited 4 or 5 times in the past 3 years, and each time a plant is wilted and went off color. Any advice for testing or something? Or could this be a different problem? Despite this situation sounding like an obvious prank, the OP seemed concerned, and commenters were quick to offer advice. Get a clear plastic plant saucer, remove some of the topsoil of the houseplant, and hide the liner under the soil. If you really want to mess with them, you can also hide a battery-powered water leak alarm in there. Those suckers are loud. You can get one for like $10. I like that idea. I'm worried that my roommate might water the plant. I could tell everyone not to. I don't think anyone's happy with the situation, so maybe it wouldn't be weird to work together. Lots of good ideas from everyone. I'll probably try at least 2 of them when my brother visits this month. Further down, a user by the name of NatMe will talk about their childhood experience peeing in plants. When I was a kid, I used to pee in a plant because I was too lazy to go to the bathroom. I thought pee is just water, and water's good for plants, so whatever. Eventually my parents did discover the smell, which surprisingly took a few times of me peeing in the soil. Unfortunately, they blamed my grandmother for overwatering the plant or something, because she used to babysit me occasionally at the time. Still feel guilty about that part. This seemed to be a likely answer. If the OP's brother is just too lazy, he might just find it easier to pee inside the plant rather than walking all the way to the bathroom. While gross, it's definitely something I could see a young guy doing, especially after a few drinks. After almost 2 weeks, the OP's brother would visit again, and the following morning we got an update. I hope updates are allowed here. I've gotten some questions about what ended up happening. My brother only visited yesterday, so until now I didn't have anything new to say. I ended up buying a relatively cheap water alarm, like Grim SB suggested. I made sure to tell my roommates not to water the plants. I placed it in the soil and covered it just slightly. At about 3 in the morning, I woke up to a shrill beeping, sort of like when a fire detector runs out of batteries. I had been half expecting this, so I ran out into the hall and turned on the light. My brother had flinched and gotten urine on the floor. I caught him pants down and 2 of my roommates came out to see what was going on too. My brother's horrified expression made cleaning out the pee and fishing out the alarm worth it. Thing is, no one was using the bathroom at 3 in the morning, so I know this was out of spite. They left at around 8 and my parents called sort of upset, but I told them about what happened and they didn't really know what to say. My roommates abandoned from the house, so I told my family this and they can't argue. Thank you for all the help. It seems like the leak alarms were perfect, and the OP was finally able to catch her brother in the act. In a final edit on the update, the OP would say this. So my brother stormed out at 8 in the morning and went to my parents since he lives with them. He couldn't tell them why he was back so soon, so my parents called angry and I told them what happened. They were more or less speechless, and by then my roommates had officially banned my brother, so there wasn't much to discuss. My mother called later and said that my brother claimed his actions were due to me not letting him use the bathroom, which was not the truth. He just needed to wait for it to be available, and it was empty at 3 a.m. Sibling things, I guess. And that's that. Hopefully the OP's plants are able to stay alive, now that their brother won't be peeing in them. One of the popular flares, or tags on the RBI sub, is help me search. Redditors use this whenever they need help finding information, and this user needed help searching for information about their grandfather. 1946 Netherlands forces in the UK. Why is my grandfather's personal history an international secret? My grandfather served in the Dutch military forces in the UK. He died over 30 years ago. He signed up in 1946, and I have his ID card, military possession sheet, and a document from the UK, ordering him to go from London to The Hague via hook, complete the mission, and report back to London. There is one other name also on the order. It's signed by the attaché to the Dutch forces in the UK. The letters typed in red ink, and then typed over in black X's. But I managed to decipher what's underneath. It's written in English. I have a hard copy paper trail of his location at intervals between 1940 and up to his departure from the Netherlands in 1952. When the war started, he worked for the Ministry of Agriculture and, as all were, was forced to work for the new German government. However, he secretly did not comply. We know he was in an underground movement, and we know he dealt with more than one person. Edit. We know he forged documents for individuals and farmers so that they or their stock would not be taken by the government. This is not hearsay. We have evidence of it. About a week after the war ended, he was sent to locate somebody in the Netherlands from Zeist. 3 weeks later, he has a letter from the police arresting to his good character, as he was wounded and in the hospital. Not injured, but wounded. And then of course came the military in 1946. His immigration record in Australia is restricted for A. Personal safety, B. International relations, or C. To protect Australia's defense and national security. The FOI request is in the works in the AU, but it seems unlikely they'll release it. The Dutch Ministry of Defense tell me that he was never in the military. I have plenty of evidence he was. Searching his military number yields no results in Dutch databases. The Dutch Military Records Department tell me that he went to the East Indies. I know for a fact he did not. I have evidence he was in the UK and Netherlands. When they say he wasn't, I don't think I'll ever truly know, but I'd like to make an educated guess. Whatever it was, it remains a secret. As always, Redditors took to the comments. He signed up in 1946, and I have his ID card, military possession sheets, and a document from the UK, ordering him to go from London to The Hague via hook, complete the mission and report back to London. Doesn't this imply he was part of the UK armed forces? The Dutch set up a military from the UK when Germany invaded. 46 is after the war. Remember what happens in 1939 through 40. The Dutch government is run from London, and the Queen has to help remove the Prime Minister in exile in London, who wants to return to the occupied Netherlands and start a Vichy collaboration government. In 46, the first post-war elections are held. I wonder if he was working with the Allies or Queen in conjunction with these elections. The former Prime Minister hadn't been brought to trial yet. I suspect there were plenty of folk running around post-war Netherlands who were seen as undesirables. It was a very fluid political situation in 46. A bit of a disclaimer, I'm no history buff, but this commenter seemed to know what he was talking about. I did do some Google searching to fact check him, and from what I could tell, the information he gave was accurate. In a later edit, the OP would provide more information on their grandfather. We found he had written inside a book, Lance Corporal, name omitted, Christmas 1944, military number, Expeditionaire, Force Prince Bernard Brigade. I take that with a grain of salt, because we don't know when he wrote it, but the ID number he wrote is the same as the military evidence we have. The letter dated February 18, 1946 I have, is signed by GOC David Van Voorst Eefkink, who've been commanding the officer of Brigade Princess Irene from 1941 to 1945, at which point he became the military attaché to the UK during the time frame I'm concerned with. Exact words of the letter. The above document is signed by D. Van Voorst Eefkink, General Commanding Officer of the Netherlands Forces in the UK, 2 people to fly from London to Hook by plane, and then by train to The Hague, names omitted. The above has to return to the United Kingdom upon completion of the mission, and he must report in person to the HQ GOC Netherlands Forces in the UK, X Branch, immediately upon his return. Stamped, Con Ned, Landmacht Section, Expeditionary Force Royal Netherlands Army. What is X Branch? 1948 Military Identity Card. This is the most confusing. Stamp Royal Netherlands Army Expeditionary Force. Same number as others, listed as a volunteer. I understand that this suggests having gone to Southeast Asia, but as I said, he most definitely did not. The most logical answer is that he was planning on going but didn't. Thank goodness, because he had a wife and 2 kids by this stage. We also have a number of work and character references for him in the Netherlands from 1948 onwards. After this, there is no further evidence of any military activity. Can anyone point me towards what the Dutch forces were doing in the UK after the war? Why they'd be sent back home to complete a mission, then to return to London? Any ideas where I might look? Despite my believing, I've looked everywhere. A user by the name of Haspies would comment this. He could have been involved with rounding up the fugitive Nazis, possible Dutch ex-SS men. My father was in British military intelligence at that time, and later in life would occasionally allude to both official and unofficial operations of this sort. To which the OP would reply with, that's something we've considered as a strong possibility, but there's no evidence of it. I have no idea how or where to find out, without going directly to The Hague. The only hits on his name in the search in any Dutch archive aren't military related, but are restricted and viewable in person only. This post had the history-loving Redditors in a frenzy. Fortunately, the OP wouldn't keep them waiting for too long. About 2 months after the original post, the OP would come back to the RBI sub with an update providing key information on their grandfather. In regard to the resistance, I found evidence that my grandfather was present at the execution of 9 Nazi collaborators on April 14th of 1945. He worked alongside the Canadians in liberating Friesland and was active in the Battle of Groningen. The classified letter turned out to be a non-event. Someone in the Netherlands Army was able to access a very basic military history, and he was simply returning to the Netherlands from the UK and was discharged a few months later. This person has also helped me with his knowledge of the resistance and the formation of the army. The force he was in was indeed training to go to the Dutch East Indies. However, it seems my grandfather wasn't keen on an imperial war and opted for medical discharge. Apparently many men signed up to serve in case the war wasn't truly over, discovered they'd be off to the Dutch East Indies, and changed their minds. However, the regiment he was in was made up of Dutch underground forces under Prince Bernard at the end of 1945. While we are still searching for his whereabouts between 1942 and 1944, what I have supports him being active in a highly organized resistance movement prior to joining the army. The biggest update is that today, Australia Day, the Australian National Archives responded to my FOI and released some of my family's immigration records. However, some of his is still being withheld and will probably remain so forever. This is because my grandfather was either an agent or a source of ASIO, most likely the latter, Australia's CIA, or MI6 for those who don't know, and his records would reveal tactical and operational information that is still in use by the ASIO today. Release of such information would be reasonably expected to damage the security of the Commonwealth. This was not what I was expecting. At first I thought I might have something to do with the East Indies, but he was only in the official army for 6 months and wouldn't have anything worthy of ASIO. Second theory is underground tactics of some kind during World War II. One of his Australian documents lists his occupation in the Netherlands as an interpreter, which has never appeared anywhere before. He spoke Dutch, German, and English. I'm yet to pick apart the documents they did send in detail. They have mostly immigration and citizenship forms, and yet to find out the mysterious gap in the 1940s. On another note, I discovered 96 years of my grandmother's memoirs. That's been a whole different emotional journey. Her family hid Jewish people in a secret compartment of their hay-bound Smelde. Wow, these people were legends. And with that, the Redditor was able to get some answers about their grandfather. Although they may never get the full story, they did learn that their grandpa not only served in the army, but was most likely in secret operations during one of history's biggest events. That's all for this video. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.